Chiefs Kingdom. Welcome into the AP Breakdown's first loss edition of the season. Yes, we are back. I am Ron Kopp Jr., the lead analyst at arrowheadpride.com. With me as always, Caleb James, another great film analyst at the site. Breaking it down as we always do, Caleb, but a little bittersweet this time. First loss of the season. I didn't, I started to get a little, maybe could they do it? Could they go all the way? Could they push that 17-0? But hey, now you don't even think about it. We're just on to the rest of the season. I don't know. What are your overall season thoughts kind of coming out of the first loss?
Well, they're still the number one seed in the AFC, so
Bingo.
that's still very important. But this loss was interesting. I think that, it really highlighted some of the major issues that the team has had. And I say major, like there are a few issues that are going to need to be worked through. But at the same time, Buffalo came out with a pretty good game plan. They did have some guys missing. The Chiefs' game plan, I think, because we're going to get into, was pretty vanilla across the board. At some point, maybe made you scratch your head a little bit to see what was going on with it. But at the end of the day, everyone for the Chiefs got out healthy. Never fun losing to Buffalo. Those fans of that stadium were fired up. They just definitely had to win that game and give us a little taste of payback. I think at this point, though, with this Chiefs dynasty and this run that they're on, I think that us, here in Kansas City are pretty okay with the idea of losing a regular season game to a good team like the Bills if it means that we might see them again later in the postseason and have a little bit of information on them that they can use then. But never fun losing. Definitely some stuff that the Chiefs have to get worked out, though, moving forward. I mean, last week against Denver, that was a close game that could have very well been a loss, as we talked about. So we'll get into all of it.
Yeah, no, I think it's fair to come into this AP breakdown kind of looking at it like the Chiefs have played two games, two kind of losses in a row a little bit. That Broncos game, of course, special teams came through, Leo Chenal came through, but yeah, you're right. And I know we all know the Bills have beaten us in the regular season, but just real quick, is it crazy? Like it still is crazy to me that they've beaten us four straight regular seasons. Like that is pretty wild. First time in Buffalo. But just I don't know, that still blows my mind a little bit that they've done it four straight seasons. That I don't know. I know they've done it, right? Like we all knew that, but it still is just like whoa, four straight seasons.
They're a
Really?
good team. They're a good
Exactly.
team. When you look down to it, when you look at the down to the best teams in the NFL over the last 4 or 5 seasons, it's been the Chiefs and the Bills have been a very close second. And I'd say that even in the NFC, I think they've been probably better. I think in some of those Super Bowls, they probably beat the 49ers or the Eagles in some of those games. So I don't think
Yeah.
it's like this. I don't think it's like this crazy thing that they have beaten the Chiefs 4 times in the regular season, because then you look back on it and the Chiefs have beaten them in the playoffs in
Exactly.
2020, in 21, and in
Yeah. Three times.
23. So 3 times big time playoff games against them. So it evens out, but I don't
I
know,
know
man. The Bills are
that's what
good.
that's what makes you forget. Like almost, it just made me forget about it a little bit. But dang, four straight seasons of Buffalo getting us in the regular season. Again, not that it matters, and the Chiefs will hope it or will try to make it continue not to matter. They control their own destiny. They just got to win their games. They'll be playing through Arrowhead in January. But yeah, let's get into it because I'm going to start on the offensive side of the ball. I think the offense deserves the majority of the blame for the loss, honestly. I really feel like the Chiefs offense just stalled way too much. There were four drives that ended in three plays or no, excuse me, four drives that ended in three plays or less. Yeah, no, 3 and outs. And then what we're going to get into here, the first interception. But it just all goes to, the fact that the Chiefs could have won this game. The Chiefs could have played better. I think, even with the vanilla game plan, like you mentioned, and I'll kind of talk about it a little bit here. This is kind of a vanilla play right here in the opening script. Just not kind of almost, this is Mahomes doing too much. Like sometimes, here's the thing I like about, or I don't like about Mahomes' play here. It's 2nd and 4. You're either getting Kelsey on this first down and he doesn't like it, so he pulls it. And then, yeah, that's fine. Like, pull it down, like, just run up, get tackled. You're managing a 3rd and short. Yes, Mahomes makes this play all the time. Noah Gray's open. Like, I understand that part of it. But the last thing you want to do as a quarterback is ever risk missing high over the middle or sailing high over the middle. And, when you're getting tackled in the pocket, you're going to risk a throw going haywire and it's going right over the middle where a safety is. That's the exact, wrong situation you want. So, yeah, I just feel like, on the opening script, opening drive, this is just Mahomes not, playing within the rhythm of the play. First of all, he probably could have just hit Kelsey. He's reading this play side linebacker, and he's kind of hoping he gets with Gray more, number 42 in the middle of the field. He doesn't get depth with Gray, so he kind of stays with Kelsey. So that's what dissuades Mahomes. But again, you just want to have a little bit situational awareness. Pockets kind of collapsing a bit. You can kind of feel that, if you're Mahomes. So just tuck it, play for that third and manageable. I know he's trying to make a play. I know it's Mahomes. Maybe save that for, not the opening script. That's all I'm saying. That's just, I wish we, against a team that led the league in turnovers going into this game is the Buffalo Bills defense. So it's just one of those things where opening script, that got him off to a rocky start. Obviously, the Bills scored right away, right, Caleb?
Definitely. And you saw him kind of stuff up there in the pocket. There was no imminent pressure, but I think he might have been remembering last week a little bit where he did get hit quite a few times. That was probably in the back of his mind there. And really, there was not much Trey Smith can do because the quarterback did kind of run right into his area of protection
Right.
with that defender.
Well, that's exactly the thing. Like he runs into the pressure. Like you're already gonna you have to manage the pressure better, and that was the whole thing. I thought coming away with this. This is another play that really highlights that. I think, Wanye has been solid this year, but he's gonna give up, some pressure off the edge. Jawan's not going to be perfect. The interior offensive line hasn't necessarily been perfect all year in terms of protecting the pocket, but what you're going to see here is the Bills. This is actually just the Bills playing really good defense, good game plan. That's one really big thing from this game, Caleb, is that the Bills, a very heavy zone team traditionally, likes to just kind of sit back in their zones, and that's where Mahomes has really had success against them, especially Kelsey. They can just find those zones. They can hit him. Bills didn't give them a lot of those opportunities. They really went a lot of man coverage. This is a third down, so you're going to expect more man coverage on a third down, but still, they play good man coverage. Damar Hamlin actually avoids the rub route and gets on Worthy pretty quick, kind of dissuades Mahomes. Kelsey's covered up pretty tight. Mahomes doesn't feel like he can get anything there going. So he tries to escape. But here's the thing is he is not used to having a spy. And this is what happens on this play is, there's just a quarterback spy, and he's just right there when Mahomes doesn't, think he's going to be. He's just not used to accounting for that. And that's where the Bills just had a good game plan. Again, this linebacker's just going to watch him. And as soon as he breaks the pocket at all, he's sprinting, he's taking him down. But it is worth noting on this play that, again, managing pressure, he wants to come to this backside route to D-Hop. I should back it up to the end zone or the wide view. He does want to go to D-Hop on the backside here, and the pressure by Wanye into his inside shoulder by Russo does kind of, make him, get out of the pocket. So, that is kind of just a busted play a little bit. But again, Mahomes is used to being able to scramble out of those man coverage situations and get a first down potentially, right, because everyone's covering somebody. Not used to having a spy on him. So the Bills showed that, it's something they could bring out again in the postseason, something important to note, because obviously the Chiefs like to bring out spies against Josh Allen. We didn't see it this game. You'll probably, you may note that, Caleb, I imagine. But I also do want to point out the Bills did just play, again, a good game where complimentary pass rush too. I do think this was schemed here by the Bills, where you're going to see on the left side, Rousseau's going to attack the outside of the pocket. He's really going to get, to the back of the pocket and force Mahomes to step up. And what do you see on the right side? Von Miller is attacking, and boom, spin move, gets to the inside, right where Mahomes is stepping up. That's good complementary pass rushing. And then Ed Oliver's obviously just going to attack, and he does get through, honestly. Not get through, I guess. He gets held up by Trey, but, gets in on Mahomes a little bit. So, again, it just tells you that Bills are a good defense, and the Chiefs needed to execute a little better in some situations, but the Bills did have a really good game plan. These two plays show you that. But then, Caleb, we have plays where the Chiefs really, should have hit. And I'm just going to go ahead and start with everyone's favorite play from Sunday, Caleb. I know you probably love this. For the second week in a row, we see a huge pass to Xavier Worthy that should be a touchdown that goes out of bounds. I don't know. First of all, I guess initial reaction real quick, Caleb, just I'll let it run. But, were you like, dang, were you just pissed at Worthy for not getting those toes in?
Yeah, I mean, at the time I was, and to be honest, I
And you
still am
still
a
should,
little
yeah,
bit.
you still should be. Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Listen, I know Pat is taking the responsibility for it because they're trying to keep Xavier Worthy's confidence up, and Xavier Worthy played a heck of a ball game
Yes,
overall, even though they didn't use him in the second half. I mean, this I mean, you even look at this route he runs right here. I mean, they dug into like the Tyreek package for what they were going to do against
yes,
them this week. I mean, like the whole first drive, or not the first drive with the interception, but that whole second touchdown drive with Worthy making plays. A lot of this stuff was out of like some of the Tyreek playbook, and this one is directly out of it. So it frustrates me a little bit that him and Mahomes can't get on the same page,
I
especially this
know.
late in the season.
Well, and it is, it is still the middle part of the season. There's still season to go and grow and gain that connection. But yeah, no, Worthy absolutely should toe tap this. I think this replay is not going to be able to show you all that. Y'all saw that on the broadcast. You got to be able to drag that back foot. But all that said, when you watch this play develop, and this is a schemed up touchdown. This is Andy Reid, Matt Nagy, whoever schemes this up. I'm going to give it to Andy Reid. What you're going to get here is obviously the run action, right? You're going to get the guard, Kelsey Poland. You're going to get that run action, but then boom, we're booting right. So once you're booting right, that safety, that backside safety, he feels like he can kind of cheat up, creep up, because he feels like it's going to be a kind of a boot action play where Mahomes obviously can't. If he does roll out, he can't get all the way to the backside, right? Well, that initial action brings Taylor Rapp up, and all that does is just wide open, or open up the field wide for Xavier Worthy to run into. It's a cover two look, so that cornerback is kind of just sinking underneath. He has to respect the flat running back. So Worthy just has all the room to work into. The thing is, the ball just needs to stay in play, and it's probably a better angle from the end zone. But you just see how far it just continues to carry over to the sideline when he just puts it more upfield, and just he has all the room in the world to work. It's a bang bang play, right? Because he is doing all this play action, right? He's McColl's in the backfield. This is a really schemed up play, and there is pressure kind of forcing him. You can see that where Kelsey really has to pick up. And maybe I'll get your take on here. I mean, is there anything here with the protection where you see something like Creed passes off and goes to the edge? That's kind of unique. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts here on the pass protection?
Yeah, can you give me that insight? So Trey Smith's not really in the wrong because he's a pulling guard, and that's kind of
Right.
his job is to keep that guy wide. Where it gets muddled is Kelsey, and then Jawan Taylor. That's kind of like a big cluster right there where they're lucky they didn't get called for holding on that. So they did have some looks they do have some looks in their offense. Like we pointed out last week, we saw a similar look to this where Jawan kind of blocks down and Creed folds to take the outside.
Yeah.
So that's pretty unique here. I don't know if that is by design. It probably is, but they might have just wanted to keep it a little more basic there because that guy that ends up, Jawan and Kelsey end up trying to basically hold off of Pat is the guy that kind of gets in there. Like Trey's guy is not making a play here on that ball. He's too far wide, and Pat's going to be too far into his drop. It's really just the middle guy right there.
Yeah, it is. No, and that is definitely a fair reason why maybe this ball is just a little, because I think Mahomes would tell you with truth serum even that this is off. That he could have put this more in the field of play, given Worthy a runway into the end zone. But all that said, Worthy does just need to toe tap, get that down. That's something that maybe But man, look how far in he is when like he is inbounds. Like that is
You have
pretty
to make that
ridiculous.
catch. You
That
have
is
to make
pretty
that catch.
ridiculous that doesn't turn into a catch. And so that is just the frustrating part of this game, recent games with Worthy. But again, the Bills just challenged the Chiefs with man coverage, and I don't, the players didn't step up to it. And Mahomes, I just mentioned that throw. We can talk about the different factors in that throw. I think this is a play where the pressure really he does feel, and it really does rush him unnecessarily. And this is kind of an unfortunate second down they don't get. And it sets up a third and short they don't convert, and it's a early punt in the second or in the second half. But what you got is a schemed up, the bunch is here. It's man coverage, so you're gonna get somebody caught up in traffic, and someone's gonna break out. That's kind of It's kind of just the simple way to put it, and that's exactly what happens. Juju does a good job where, you could say, oh, is he illegal contacting? He's running into his route. He's trying to get off. He's trying to get off. That's what he would say to the ref. He is playing that pretty well, where he pushes him all the way into Noah Gray's defender, so Noah Gray just pops wide open. Mahomes should see that and just hit that, and I'll show you from the end zone angle too, where it's something that he should be feeling that Taylor Rapp is too inside of that, and that it's just an anticipatory throw almost, and he just goes to the safe route to Kelsey. Which, hey, you trust maybe Kelsey to just kind of break through a tackle enough to get this first down, does not. Or it's third and short. You can settle for that. That's okay. Like, you can trust your offense to convert third and short. They just didn't. All that to say, you can tell the pressure didn't necessarily get home on this play or anything, although Russo puts Jawan on his butt. But you can tell about the second half he was feeling it a little bit. What do you think?
No, he's definitely feeling it, and I mean,
and it's a 5-man rush too, I should say.
Definitely, the Bills pass rush, kind of like the Broncos last week, they did a good job of being coordinated in how they attacked Pat. The Bills did more of like a spy, where the Broncos did more of like a containment type rush, where they had like their two edge guys flying up the field and their two inside guys kind of just playing low key at the line, ready for the scramble. But this was a good decision, and also they have their that linebacker in the box immediately goes out to cover Kareem, who was probably a safety valve on this play also. Teams have been doing a really good job of covering up the running backs just because of how lethal the Chiefs have been, getting these little checkdowns off the last couple seasons.
Yeah, no, and again, it kind of all circles around the teams challenging this Chiefs team with man coverage, challenging Mahomes and Xavier Worthy to make that connection and make them, feel like they can't beat. Although, that one play was against cover too. So again, it's not all against man coverage. They're scheming plays up. But that play shows it, being able to rush more, 5-man rushes with man coverage behind it. That tells you that teams are trusting, their coverage to lock up guys like, when you think about it, the top 3 pass catchers are Travis Kelce, DeAndre Hopkins, Juju Smith-Schuster, probably when he's healthy. Although he didn't, I guess Xavier Worthy obviously is one of them too. But throw Juju in as that kind of 4th guy. He didn't really play this much that game. Could just be his first game back. None of those guys, the 3 that I mentioned, not Xavier Worthy, obviously he's good against man coverage, but those 3 guys aren't going to necessarily be, separators, right? We've seen D-Hop separate a little bit, but that's just at this stage of his career, it's not something that he's consistently going to be doing. What he's best at is definitely going up for a contested catch. And so Mahomes gave him that opportunity right here, So again, the Bills are challenging the Chiefs, press man coverage on 2nd and 14. That's something that traditionally the Bills are always going to be in zone coverage in this situation. Like, the Bills are really came out with a specified game plan, really tried to challenge again the Chiefs pass offense. And so what you see is the deep safety. He shades towards Worthy, right? So Mahomes, obviously isn't going to test that. So he goes to D-Hop on the other side, and one-on-one, gives him a good ball. Absolutely a ball that he can catch when he's in that contested situation, obviously. Doesn't get the separation on the slant and go. Christian Benford plays it well. Christian Benford's been playing a good season. Again, this Bills defense has a lot of solid players. I do want to mention, though, I do want to just give a little shout out to Noah Gray. Noah Gray just creating some separation. I don't think Mahomes can, once he decides to go to D-Hop, I'm not blaming him for not throwing this to Noah Gray or anything. I just feel like, shout out Noah Gray, huge game. I didn't really highlight him in any of these plays, but he creates separation here. Press man coverage against a slot corner, a slot player, Teron Johnson, who's won All-Pro at times. Like, hey, that's a solid play right there. Noah Gray, really, was a focal point of the offense, the pass offense for a lot of this game. You've highlighted him for some of these AP breakdowns this season. But yeah, so just overall, again, the Bills kind of showed, or other defenses maybe, hey, challenge the Chiefs with man coverage, challenge them to make those plays down the field to Xavier Worthy. Where obviously, because if you go man coverage, you're going to be seeing, Xavier Worthy be able to beat that off the line, get past that cornerback. Like, he's going to be able to do that. It's just that, can you connect on those opportunities, and can all the other plays, can all the other players, make plays out of those situations? So I think that was a big part of the play. I think Mahomes just needs to manage pressured pockets a little more, even when they're just a little cluttered, but it does feel like the pockets are just a little closer than they need to be too. And that's just going to be something he has to deal with for the rest of the season, right? Like, it's not getting any better. There's no magic band-aid coming. So he does have to manage pockets better, and that's pretty much it. Caleb, is there any other takeaways from the offense before we get into your defensive breakdown?
I mean, no. I mean, there's not a whole lot left to
Yeah.
say there. I think you hit it on the head. And honestly, watching Noah Gray score 2 touchdowns was awesome because he's winning these matchups. Teams aren't respecting him, but he's making the plays. He's the guy that's stepping up right now when they need to. The other thing I'll say is I have a feeling if there was like a big time playoff game versus these guys, DeAndre Hopkins probably getting a lot more targets.
Right.
Maybe Travis Kelsey runs a specialized play or two.
Kelsey had
Maybe
no first down catches. Like that won't happen in a playoff game,
maybe
no
Isaiah
matter what
Pacheco.
scheme they play at you.
And I like Kareem Hunt, but right now everything pretty much just feels like 4 yards in a cloud of dust. Maybe Pacheco with some
Yeah.
fresher legs could break something. So there
That's
was a
something
lot
we
left on the table.
that's something we didn't touch on with the offenses. They just didn't commit to the run game as much as other games. Again, the early interception kind of puts you behind that hole. That's where Mahomes, again, just kind of having that situational discipline. It all ties up. But really what happened, Caleb, is that the offense left the defense out to dry way too often. The defense has picked up this offense so many times this season, and they got the stops in the second half, but this Chiefs offense just couldn't pull through. So yeah, but again, the defense had its get fall aways too. So what do you got for the defensive side of the ball?
No, definitely. And I mean, one of the things with, what the Bills did that was so frustrating throughout the course of the game was just that you knew Allen is going to take off and run at some point. Like you knew what he was going to want to do throughout most of the game, but the Chiefs just had such a hard time putting pressure on him. Actually, they didn't have a hard time putting pressure on him. Let me backtrack that. They had 19 pressures.
That's a lot.
The most they've had during the season this year is 22 against New Orleans, and they're playing a much higher caliber team here. They pressured Josh Allen 22 times or 19 times, sorry, 0 sacks. And what I'm getting to is pressures are awesome, but against a player like Josh Allen, you have to finish him to the ground. Same as Lamar Jackson, same as Joe Burrow. You have to finish these guys in the backfield. And I think Allen is better than Lamar Jackson and better than Joe Burrow. And the Chiefs were unable to finish plays on him in the backfield. They just had issues all game. And we'll take a look at a couple things here. So, Chris Jones getting a little bit of heat this week. I don't quite know why. Chris Jones is doing all he can out there. He had 7 pressures. Obviously, his sack production is lower this year than it has been in years past. We get that. But also, what he's opened up for the rest of the defense should be highlighted every week. And on this play, they get kind of him and George Karlaftis both out wide. Chris Jones is almost in a 5 tech. And I will say the Bills' right guard, Osiris Torrance, did play a really good game this week against Chris Jones. He won some key one-on-one matchups versus Chris this week, but Chris was the only person winning on the defensive line. No one else was winning a whole lot this week. And you see this is Chris's bread and butter. Get like a slow power player like Torrance out there. I'm going to basically turn him into a tackle. I'm going to line up out here kind of on the edge. He goes in, boom, throws the big rip. Okay. And the Chiefs also bring 5. You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pass rushers. There's no one in the middle of the field. So Josh Allen is going to do what Josh Allen does, and he's going to easily come in and slide for a first down. And 36 yards, 39 yards, Josh Allen had in the fourth quarter alone, just running the football. And I'll look at, the big play that everyone's going to be talking about. But this was from that final drive also, and it kind of set the tone. Just the Chiefs unable to get anyone else to win, but they don't have anyone to cover the middle of the field. You see these other teams like the Broncos and even the Bills, what they're doing to Mahomes, and it's like, why didn't the Chiefs do any of that against Josh Allen this week? They didn't have like a contain rush. Everyone's running up the field crazy, just looking for a sack, and then they're opening up the middle of the field. So I do think that there are those questions about why the Chiefs chose to play them that way, but maybe we'll talk about that here in just a second.
Yeah, well, no, I do think it speaks to the vanilla, the I do think the coaches and staff may have just said, "Hey, we're not going to throw out our best stuff, both sides of the ball," and I think you'll show it. But as the game went on, they may have blitzed a little more. But I don't think we saw either side's best stuff.
And, here was the play of the game. Josh Allen giving the Chiefs a little bit of a taste of their own medicine. We'll just take a look at this one. And Chris Jones is trying to set up Torrance. back to go to the inside, but this time he gets blocked up by a bigger guy who out physicals on him on this play. And Torrance kind of was anticipating that Chris had been rushing inside a lot this game. Karloftis comes wide. Karloftis is real wide, but he gets behind Allen. But you can't really see it from this angle, but you can kind of see it a little bit. The Bills are running like this little crossing pattern, like a mesh pattern underneath, and they catch the Chiefs playing, like a little bit of a confused zone. Like Nick Bolton and Drew Tranquil both look like they're stumbling around, like they don't know what's going on. The Chiefs linebackers were also bad this game. I think that would be a
Well,
fair assessment.
well, no, I mean this play was that is, and the finishing part of this play too is not great.
And so the second that Chris Jones is no longer involved in the play is the second that Josh Allen decides he's going to run. Karloftis has no shot. Drew Tranquil ends up chasing a tight end, and Josh Allen has basically a free lane, gives that little pump right there. Bad angle, and Josh Allen's a big dude. So that was the back-breaking play of the game that pretty much put the Bills up by 9 points. And it's just like surprising the Chiefs didn't even like attempt like they were going to try to defend against a run the entire play. Like everyone was covering everyone up, and they just couldn't get the matchups that they wanted to up front on there.
Well, and you kind of saw, when he breaks the pocket too, like Mike Pennell's in there because it's 4th and 2, not Tershawn Wharton, maybe who could have had a little more athleticism to snag him right there when he breaks loose. Yeah, no, that was good for the Bills. That was a fun play for them in their stadium. But pass rush has definitely been something that we're seeing that is becoming more and more of a, especially with the coverage maybe having not as strong play in the back end, with some injuries. Pass rush needs to be more impactful in the game.
Yeah, and you hate to pick on a guy, but Najee Johnson played a poor football game in general. They really picked on him a lot. There was one play like it was basically unguardable. It's just a perfect ball from Allen to Cooper. This one, though, is the play that everyone's screaming for OPI, but really the Chiefs are blitzing. They're leaving their guys in man-on-man situations. But here's my thing with this is everyone's screaming for OPI, but I think Curtis Samuel has Najee Johnson beat straight out of the gate here. I mean, you see that separation. I don't think a lot of people in Chiefs Kingdom were talking about this one, that, you just see just that little hesitation from Curtis Samuel right there. This play's over. And I mean, it is like I'm
No,
not.
it
I
is.
understand the pick play, possibly set up the touchdown, but Curtis Samuel is going to end up being wide open. You see Chris Jones there; he does it. He gets through easily, and McDuffie gets through, but there's getting ready to be a lot of separation. And my thing with this is, I mean, people are saying, well, even if Johnson doesn't get hit, he still makes the tackle. Does he? He is way behind Curtis Samuel right here. This is
Yeah,
a
Curtis
long.
is really fast. Samuel's
He's
really fast.
extremely fast. He's a guy I've liked since his days at Carolina. Scored a bunch of points on the Chiefs in that COVID game against the Panthers that I was at a few years ago, and I've been a fan of his ever since. Glad to see he's found a home. Unfortunately, it's against the Chiefs in big situations. But like that's a ton of separation. Like I don't know if he's getting there to make that play. And then he just widens, he keeps widening out, and he runs into it. Like I know.
Well, that was the point. Yeah, I mean, go ahead. I mean, that was the point I wanted to make, is that Najee can avoid this.
That's what I'm saying. Everyone's screaming for OPI, and I'm like, dude, go underneath. Like I don't know. Like the Bills just messed the Chiefs secondary up with all these crossing and mesh patterns. They had them running. They had them gassed out. The Chiefs are blitz. The Chiefs blitz was terrible this week. They couldn't get any pressure on Allen, and he just carved them up about as easy as he could there. Another touchdown right there.
Well, and that's where, back to we do have some comments on comment responding to me talking about, maybe not throwing out their best stuff. How can you judge best stuff when next time they meet they'll be a different team? That's true. That's true. And so that's where a lot of these plays were showing it's execution, right? And so that's where, it's not on, yeah, maybe the plays, it's on the players. The players had a chance to win this game with the schemes that was called. So
No, definitely they did.
oh
I am glad that the next time the Chiefs play them, they'll probably have Charles Omenihu back. That's going to make a big world of difference in this one. But you just see how close Chris Jones was to having such a dominant game. I mean, about as close as he can be. But this is why you got to have other guys win against elite quarterbacks like Josh Allen. Like, this is, I mean, he's one of the best in the game for a reason because Chris Jones smokes the guard, wins back underneath. He comes around and just gets a couple of hands on Allen, but Allen's able to keep it going and he ends up picking up just a few diving forward. Okay, this stuff all adds up though in the end of the
Yeah.
game. And Chris Jones did play well, but then I mean, look at everyone else. George Karloff is dropping, no one else is winning.
Yeah, no,
just frustrating.
yeah, no. Karlaftis had been coming in with a kind of a a momentum as a pass rusher. Tershawn Wharton's had success this season, and yeah, no, I don't think you saw any complimentary rushing from the Chiefs this week.
I guess where I was disappointed at mostly with this is the Bills had a backup right tackle and Karlaftis couldn't really take advantage of him. Neither could Mike Dana, FAU, and Malik Herring were non-factors. But you see the Chiefs again; they blitz and it's pretty ineffective here. They're gonna. I mean, it's pretty much like a similar concept to what they ran on the goal line. McDuffie just kind of coming in and getting ready to try to hammer him, but the running back steps up and handles McDuffie. Really good effort, though, by Osiris Torrance again. He's blocking Tershawn Wharton, throws a little shoulder to stop Nick Bolton there. And this little shoulder probably buys Josh Allen just enough time to get this pass off and toe touch with Amari Cooper down the sideline. They had the guy they wanted to pick on with Najee Johnson down there. And, I think to some extent, having the Chiefs having some questions with the other outside corner spot right now is starting to have an effect on the rest of the defense and especially the effectiveness of some of the screen passes. Or not the screen passes, the blitzes.
Yeah, because you know what? Like, it's funny. Nazi is not the bigger corner that the Chiefs usually get or whatever. So, I think in theory he's always been like, oh, the cover guy. That he kind of makes up for that with being coverage. But I've been impressed with Nazi as a run defender, kind of coming up. He's made a few good tackles, but coverage has been, it has not been great. He's gotten shaken a few times.
And the Chiefs do have time to try to continue to build, improve their secondary. And I'm not trying to pick on Johnson too much because I do think that he does have the intangibles that the Chiefs are looking for as far as a cornerback goes. He is not afraid to tackle. He'll do all the little things the right way. I think at the end of the day, though, they just have to get something kind of figured out with what they want to do with the secondary moving forward. But the defensive line has got to start to figure it out because I think they've struggled for quite a bit of the season to have this kind of, to be able to really put pressure on opposing quarterbacks.
Well, hey, and here's, and just want to shout out Raven187 for commenting. Cyborg Torrance played tough. That was someone we've scouted in the NFL draft, a few years ago that, I think we all knew he was going to be a pretty solid guard. He just had that profile. But no, again, to your point, on the Chiefs, another point off of that is, the Chiefs' ability to blitz and get to the quarterback this game. It just didn't, it didn't get to a point where, it collapsed on Allen, right? Where, it really, kept him from breaking the pocket. That is kind of scheme thing. That is stuff. And also, like, where's Uche in all this? I guess that was where I wanted to get to. I was kind of fumbling through that, trying to get back to that. Where is Uche? He only played 5 snaps. They traded for him. This is a game where he might have been huge in terms of, being a pass rusher, maybe on stunts, but also, maybe even being that kind of spy a little bit where he can kind of track Allen at times. Like, I know maybe that's too much of a layer for a guy that just joined the team. But maybe that's something that we see in the playoffs where Uche is kind of unlocked a little more. He can do a lot for this defense. I think we haven't seen, really the start of him yet.
Yeah, and I don't have a ton of Uche clips. I think maybe they were trying to save him, like you say. So this is the play that, and we'll go ahead. I can go ahead and end it here. I think we've gotten the point of what we're getting across with the pass rush. This is the play that Tony Romo was all like, "Oh, lane containment, lane containment, lane containment." And I'm like, also, the Chiefs actually, I think, do contain this play about as good as they can. I think Josh Allen is just really good and makes plays. So, you do have to get some extra guy. You have to have maybe one or two guys be winning on the defensive line. But, George Karlaftis does hit an excellent spin move, great pass rush, gets right between the tackle and the guard. Unfortunately, this is Allen's bread and butter. And Tershawn Wharton, like his job this play is to stand at the line of scrimmage, basically rush and then get ready to react. He just gets off a little bit late, and Allen fires a good one over there. And it's just that little bit of extra running from Allen that frees him up against the secondary. No one else wins in the pass rush. So, I think to some extent the Chiefs defense maybe did get a little tired down the line. I think that they have, done their best to make up for a lot of the offensive deficiencies. And, this week they came out, they played an elite quarterback, and it's the first time we've seen them play like this in a minute, where they do give up 30 points. To be fair, though, it was like the Bills had the ball to start the game at both halves with the Mahomes pick, so they pretty much spotted them. 3 points there. They did step up and make some stops in the second half. They did what they have to do, but you just got to be, you have to be ready to go against, a good quarterback like Allen. They just needed a little bit of, that extra pass rusher. Hopefully Omenihu can provide that.
So one last thing on the pass rush that, I kind of was dancing around a little bit, but, I think another point to maybe the Chiefs, having a vanilla scheme, but this just maybe their scheme in general. And so I want to kind of maybe get your thoughts. Like I feel like we haven't seen a ton of pass rush stunts with the 4-man. It's really just a lot of straight up, right? Doesn't it feel like I feel like we don't get a lot of movement up front in terms of stunts and kind of a tackle taking up an offensive tackle so an end can loop around. I've seen that with the Chiefs, but not recently, not in this game, I don't think. And maybe that's just a part of Josh Allen. You can't rush him that way. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, when you're the back-to-back Super Bowl champions and you're undefeated going into a game, maybe you can hold some of your cards and just let your guys go out there and just play and see where they're
Right.
at. And I think that's a lot of what the Chiefs did this game. They just wanted to see where their team was at without getting too deep into the X's and O's to see who can make plays when given a chance to win a play one-on-one and where they're going to have to provide help to later on in the season. I think they will have some answers for a lot of that based on what they did out there on Sunday.
Yeah, no, I think there's definitely some lessons to be learned from Sunday. Definitely a good game to learn from for the Chiefs. They'll be in Carolina this week, noon kickoff. We'll be breaking it down next week on this show. Appreciate everyone joining tonight. We will hopefully be talking about another Chiefs victory, a Chiefs victory once again next week. Get back on that winning train. Shout out everyone commenting. Make sure you come back. We'll do this either Tuesday, Wednesday night, depending on when we get our film study done. Caleb, appreciate you joining. We'll make sure we say, make sure the people know to like this video, subscribe to the Arrowhead Pride page, follow us on Twitter at Ron_Kopp. Which way? There you go. At CJ Scoobs on Twitter. And we will catch you guys next time. Have a good night.